Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal. I am here today. It's June 7th. I am in my solar return. It is my birthday. This week, from June 8 until June 14th, we are on our way to the new moon in Gemini. I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video, but it is active from this moment. And we're going to initiate with a transit that we have been feeling from June 5th, 6th. And I am talking about the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter in Cancer. Both of them are in orb of a square with Chiron in Aries. This is perfected on June 9th and is a conjunction that is associated with growth, plenitude, expansion, which is Jupiter, of our desires of the soul, which is Venus. And this is going to depend on how we are positioning our energies, because the transits are just marking a cycle, and we are the ones that we choose how to transit that cycle. And to be honest, tensions with Chiron could involve many times this emotional overwhelming thing, the reactivity, the anger. In Cancer, certain emotional states could be amplified, which is what Jupiter does, both of the ones that we perceive as positive as much as the negative ones, in an excessive way. Therefore, these states of euphoria that many times people confuse with the plenitude that could be associated to perceptions of external situations that perhaps are not really bringing growth. For example, if you have just met a person and you are going, far beyond of what things are in the present moment without truly knowing if that relationship is going to be constructive, which also means that there is this will to run away from oneself. That could be, a polarization of an emotional state. And the others, such as anger and sadness, could also be increased by how we are conceiving reality. But could also be a way of freeing ourselves from those, those emotions that were stuck in the body, that were ancient in some way, or understanding what we need to do differently or requires detachment, whether this is a perception, a relationship, or situation, etc. These unions happen once a year, and the curious thing is that the last year, 2025, on August 12th or 11th, this happened also in Cancer. And this 2026, as it is happening with Jupiter about to move to Leo, we are not going to have conjunctions in Leo. Next year, this is happening in another sign. So as every cosmic movement, I think this is a synchronicity. I'm referring that the emotional bases that are motivating us to feed certain relationships, projects, purposes of life that are also very linked with Jupiter, are truly, truly important. And this kind of transits are, even though they are associated in astrology with beneficial things, and they are actually, it's just that not always what brings a benefit is something that we are experimenting at that moment, such, as beneficial in the path. What I am trying to say is that in order to open ourselves to this truly nourishing emotional energy, we have to learn to make decisions that are creating a space for that. In many cases, with a square with Chiron Aries could involve facing the fear and the pain or the insecurities, learning to look at ourselves, taking in account who we are or what we are, to be seen by other people when there are imbalances regarding this, instead of continuing sustaining relationships and projects from self-abandonment that are making us feeling invisible. Also, this is about observing if the conditionings of our wounds are unconsciously producing that we are closing ourselves to the blessings of life, the miracles, which are also Jupiter. And this means not moving forward to new situations that could be pretty positive and that can contribute with a lot of happiness, because there is a lot of resistance to move out from the familiar. But that, curiously, paradoxically, keeps us in a space of suffering. Also using painful experiences of the past, over focusing in them as a justification for choices that are not contributing in the present moment. Or, when opportunities of expansion are presenting, but we are, contacting with the fear sorry, of not being capable of taking them, or opportunities of surrounding ourselves with nourishing relationships, but the fear of being vulnerable or expressing ourselves in a safe space is preventing that. Another way of creating a barrier is avoiding dealing with our own emotions. Not wanting to feel pain, which is being born from a childish rejection, because it is an emotion that we require to transit in order to learn and assimilate aspects of our lives, which is not the same to be attached to suffering. In other cases, because we don't want to break with the expectation of certain people, it could be family, intimate circles, which is cancer, we could keep ourselves in a space where we are not only not producing our own growth, but also we are not contributing with the growth of that environment. And in the end, in this intention of being good people and doing what others expect or desire from us, we are actually being selfish with them too. So, talking about other aspects, this is also a conjunction to enter in contact with what actually need in the emotional, mental, and physical level, to take care of ourselves, to rest, to attend our inner self, our body, to spend time with people that are actually nourishing us, or projects that are actually nourishing us. And if this is something that you have incorporated already, that you have been practicing, it is pretty possible that you are going to see fruits of this, a manifestation in certain level of the product of of what you are cultivating. Could be a new connection with whom we can grow. Could be an opportunity to open up to a new purpose, or to expand the one that we have already cultivating. Could be a new home, could be familiar expansion, children, or situations that are reminding us what is to feel at home, or to learn to recognize and to return to that inner home. On the other side, it is also an aspect with this tendency to excesses that are emerging when we are using mechanisms, unconscious mechanisms, to deal with our emotions, such as eating or buying without measure. Other shadow could be linked with pretending to see with optimism a situation that is far away from being positive for us, and with the next transit we are dealing with the consequences. I am talking about June 10th, Mercury in Cancer perfecting a square with Saturn in Aries. This is activated at the same time that the conjunction, at the same time of the conjunction. Sorry, you are already feeling this, and even though they are going to be far away by the moment of the new moon, they are participating because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So this has several expressions. On one side, Mercury is communication, and inattention with Saturn in Aries could involve certain misunderstanding, or words that are impacting us a lot in the emotional level, or that could impact others. And if we are not talking from a place of responsibility, of course this is going to have consequences. And with responsibility, I'm not referring that we have to always seek to be liked or conform others, but to evaluate intentions with which from which we are talking. In fact, it could be a familiar behavior, which is Cancer, not being honest with our emotional needs and with the boundaries of what we can or can't do for others. And later we are exploding in situations that doesn't deserve that, or people are reflecting the ways in which we are treating ourselves. So the other polarity is trying to impose other people how, forcing them how they should be or they should act, only just considering our needs. This kind of behavior, it is born from aspects that are that can be linked with wounds of rejection and abandonment. And in the end, we are so exigent, so demanding, that we turn up to be selfish with other people. Or in other cases, could be demanding something to a person that doesn't want to offer that or can't offer that. And if that is truly important for us, I am referring that if we are feeling that we are betraying us, accepting different conditions, manipulation is not a constructive way. So in some cases, we just only have to take distance and put a boundary. Then this square could be linked with a blockage, a delay, an obstacle that is offering us a lesson of maturity or patience, or that could be indicating that we are not assuming the direction that truly leads us to move forward. And even this could be frustrating. No one likes to experiment these kind of things. This is truly life indicating where is the path, and helping us to integrate something that is important for the structure of the path itself. Other thing that it is important to take in account with tensions between Mercury and Saturn, it is that this could invoke, this negative vision of reality in a polarized position. There is no way that I can be understood. I cannot move forward. I cannot obtain certain results, and everything is going to depend of what kind of results we are seeking and from which place we are doing that. Okay, on June 12th, Mercury starts the pre-shadow, the pre-retrograde shadow. I don't know if I'm expressing this correctly in English. This shadow goes until June 29th, which is the day that starts the retrogradation. This means that Mercury is going through the mathematical degrees that is going to review later. Conversations, decisions, things that we are beginning are going to be reevaluated after, so they are not definite. Okay, on June 13th, Venus in Cancer is going to perfect the square with Chiron in Aries. A Chiron that is also about to leave this sign to make this first visit to Taurus, which is the domicile of Venus. And in short, I'm going to talk about this. So it is more about what I was saying at the beginning of the video. It is an aspect that could make us be in contact with what we are perceiving as unfair, with the pain of not feeling seen or not contained emotionally as we would like. And it is important to observe when we are, making comparisons with the paths of other people to feel the sensation of incapacity of conquering something, or we are over identifying with the pain that we have transcended in the past, and we are not seeing possibilities to concretize desires of the soul. And therefore, this could produce attachment to desires that are coming from these patterns and programmings. Wanting to stay in spaces or relationships that are truly not making us feel good. But there is this fear to not be able to create something else. So it is a conformism that is not acceptance. It is something that is preventing our evolution. That same day, Venus moves out from Cancer and enters Leo. And from this transit, I'm going to amplify later because it is supercharged of aspects. I'm going to mention certain things today because this participates of the new moon. Venus in Leo is the desire of sharing our light, our talents, to radiate in a generous way what we are and who we are. It is the loyalty to the callings of the herd, the authentic expression of ourselves, the experiences that are connecting us with playing, of enjoying what we like to do, and also that can contribute to with light to others, connecting with people that can cause admiration in certain aspects to us. So this is going to show a little bit of what is going to imply the entrance of Jupiter in Leo at the end of June. I'm going to explain a little bit in the context of the new moon. So let's go to the new moon in Gemini, June 14th. This is given in the degree 24. We initiate a new cycle of 6 months. Gemini is our way of communicating, of connecting with other people, the interconnection of our ideas, associations that can create new concepts, the mental narratives that we are telling to ourselves, perceptions that can contribute or not with the path, our capacity of being flexible with circumstances, to see situations from a different perspective, changing our opinion. Many times people are very resistant to think in different ways, even to consider the opposite, because this require being humble, to put our ego aside to do it. But, in its shadow, it could also be an energy that is making too much, relativizations, Many times when we are not getting deep in certain information, we could create forms of thought that are based in what other people is saying or in the things that we want to believe, and that it doesn't have too much foundation. Other shadow could be not deciding nothing, because we are focusing in too many options, doubt as a resource of evasion, to choose something, as an escapism, distractions in situations that doesn't have purpose. In this difficulty to many times dealing with being bored, or being still, which actually could enable this enormous creative potential. And as I was saying, the ruler Mercury is in Cancer in this pre-retrograde shadow. Again, I don't know if I'm inventing that expression, but in Mercury is still in this square with Saturn in Aries. They are far away, but this is pushing us to be responsible and to seek the direction of greater growth, of greater maturity, the one that is coming from our inner voice, and the one that is actually impulsing the function of the soul. It is not the one that we seek from our limited beliefs or identifications that are forcing us to fit in a familiar or social role that actually is going to produce great inner and external imbalances. So, Mercury also makes this sextile with Mars in Taurus, which is this chance to be practical, to make concrete decisions, to materialize something that we want to materialize. And as it is a harmonic aspect, what we are deciding with this true will of giving form, structure to what is nourishing in our lives, this is going to be accompanied by experience. I am referring that easily we could feel that advancement inside, to flow with these choices without much resistance once we are starting, or manifestations of opportunity, situations that are going to confirm that is the right path for oneself. But we have to take in account that even the new moon is not given a conjunction with Uranus in Gemini. Uranus is pretty close from perfecting these squares with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo. Therefore, chaos and disruptions are the alarm of change, that perhaps we are keeping ourselves in limitant behaviors, giving help in a way that we don't want to not take care of our path, this seeking of perfectionism or ideals that truly are preventing us from doing what we need to do, or that they are showing that we cannot control everything. We cannot have all the answers to make decisions to move forward, and that we have to surrender to the unknown. But also this could imply these unexpected revelations that are proposing a change of plans in a way that we didn't imagine before. At last, Venus entering in Leo is activating this minor grand trine or great sextile. This is the name of the configuration in astrology. It is creating an opposition with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius that we are going to feel in a very intense way, a trine with Neptune in Aries, and a sextile with Uranus in Gemini. These last two are fluid aspects, and they could help us to bring this great clarity about our dreams of the soul and the innovation that we need to implement, whether these are internal or external changes that this involves. Jupiter in Leo is going to repeat all of these aspects later. I'm just only saying that what is happening during these days, it is also connected with the end of June and beginning of July. Well, I'm going to focus on the opposition with Pluto, because principally we are talking about that in order to align with desires of the soul, this implies a transformation. For example, we need to observe things that we could be doing in this seeking of being seen, of being recognized, that perhaps are not contributing. At times, there are people that, in order to obtain that attention, could exercise behaviors of attacking others. So, could also be an aspect in which manipulatory dynamics are activated, so we can be aware of what we don't need to do anymore, or we need to allow anymore. Also, this could be linked with having to face the fear of not fitting or not conforming the expectation of others, to express ourselves in an authentic way, sharing talents or giving to the others without seeking everybody, applauding that or approving that, because we cannot pretend to be liked by everyone. This is also a childish need that many times can come from having experimented a lot of rejection in childhood. But we can learn to manage this, making this discernment of the opinions or the feedback that truly deserves our attention. I mean, there could be people that are projecting their imbalances, and the lesson is not giving entity to that and continuing with what we need to continue. But if there is much emotional impact in those external opinions, this is about evaluating what they are activating, to work on that, because that could lead us to grow. Many times criticism, even if it's not done from a positive space, could help us to develop potentials. And other times it is about learning to not give power to certain dynamics. This requires much honesty and courage, because we need to have the courage to see something that is not pleasant to see in ourselves. In some level, every time that we have aspects with Pluto, this is about recognizing certain level of shadow. But if we don't do this, this is going to continue to be reflected on the outside. And to close this video today, this is an aspect that the shadows of the ego, because Leo, the ruler of Leo is the sun. It is the identity, the ego itself, are exposed. Whether because we are entering conflicts that are not adding anything, because we want to be right and forcing the other person to accept that we are right. And in other cases, because we are allowing other people to intimidate or manipulate us with their behaviors. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.